Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dive a little bit deeper in our adventures through the Symposium, and we're going to listen to the speaker Pausanias. So if you remember where we were before, we were listening to Phaedrus. If you haven't seen that episode, then there is a link somewhere around here that you can check. We were listening to Phaedrus, who was saying that love, or eros, is the chiefest among the givers of virtue. And we were understanding there that love elevates our perspective. It helps us to recognize what is really meaningful, what truly matters, what is worth sacrificing for. And through love, we grow in virtue in this way. So that's why he was saying that love is what makes a hero even out of a coward. Now, what we're going to do next is to see what Pausanias has to say about this, because he agrees, but not fully. And this is also going to be an amazing opportunity for us to start to look at the correlations between Neoplatonism and quantum mechanics. Now, this is a bit of a longer episode, so I decided to split it up in different parts. So we will have the first part here. We will focus on the two different kinds of love, and then from there we're going to dive into the more metaphysical aspects of Neoplatonism and quantum mechanics and what that can teach us about being great lovers and, most of all, just being great human beings. Pausanias begins his speech by saying, "Yes, Phaedrus, you are right. Love is awesome, but we cannot praise love indiscriminately because there are different types of love." And he's also saying that we cannot judge an action in and of itself. The action doesn't say if it is virtuous or not. You can do any action in a good way, and you can also do it in a bad way. And he's saying, for example, we're sitting here, we're talking, we're among friends, we're drinking wine, we're having a very nice time, and we're philosophizing. But that doesn't necessarily have to be good. We can drink wine and we can speak in a good way, and we can drink wine and we can speak in a bad way, or a virtuous and a non-virtuous way. For example, if you're having a dinner party with friends like Pausanias and Socrates and the buddies they had, they can sit and talk about things that really matters for them in their soul. They can come to a deeper understanding of life and of themselves and of their place in life, and it can be truly inspiring, something that really refines and elevates the souls and impact them in a truly beneficial way. But you can also sit and just gossip. You can badmouth people around you. You can even, fight with each other. And for that sake, you can also sit and have just intellectual discussions that are purely speculative. They're kind of like, mental masturbations, but they're actually not refining or elevating or truly touching the soul. And if you look from a distance, those actions look exactly the same. Oh, there's some guys there sitting, talking and drinking wine. Very nice. All night long. Looks like a good time. But from inside, from the perspective of the heart, those actions are fundamentally, categorically different. And that is what Pausanias is touching upon, saying, hey, we can't just judge love or any action based on the action itself. We need to understand that there is an other type of quality to it that is not judged by what is happening. In the same way that many are making a difference between sex and lovemaking, that there is an experience there that is qualitatively different. One is very intimate, one really enriches and ennobles the soul, and one is just animalistic pleasure. So there is a difference here. And what the Symposium is that it gradually, through these different speakers, is building a more or less comprehensive, systematic and metaphysical understanding of love and its role in the spiritual transformation of the soul. And the block that Pausanias is adding here is this differentiation of the directions of what we, broadly speaking, can call love. What Pausanias goes on to say is that, okay, so we understand here that the actions themselves are not the thing. There is some kind of mystical quality that decides if it is a good thing or if it's not a good thing, if it's virtuous or not. And what is that? And he says, well, if we look at love, we have the god of love, Aphrodite. And he says that Aphrodite is inseparable from love. That does not mean that Aphrodite is the source of love. Now, there might be, people in ancient Greece who believed that. Maybe most of them did. But I think it's very fair to assume that Plato did not, because he had the understanding of one transcendent God, who is the one who is the source of everything, just as we see in the Indian system where we have the devas, who are the gods, who are also not understood as the source of any type of power or quality, but that they're more like spiritual models. They are beings who have achieved a degree of perfection that makes it possible, that makes it very suitable for human beings to look at them, look to the gods as examples of, for example, perfection in love or perfection in courage or perfection in order or whatever attribute it is that they want to emulate. But just for the understanding here, which will be important later on, that Aphrodite is not the source of love, but she is a spiritual model that relays this energy of love to human beings, so that by praising her, by looking up to her, she can help us get in contact with this energy of love. It's also important to understand that when they're talking about love in the Symposium, it's not only what we would understand as love, but it is a term that gets to mean both attraction and desire and attachments and lovemaking and a lot of different phenomena that are distinct and separate comes bundled together in this word love, which probably isn't because the Greeks didn't know how to distinguish it. It's a matter of the perceived need of precision and also a matter of translation, because a lot get lost in translations of these works, and I haven't myself really looked into the actual Greek words and the translations of them in this case. Sometimes I do that, but now I haven't bothered too much in this case. But it's obvious that the love is not meant as the energy of love that connects souls, but it's also speaking about it as attraction and about desire and attachments and all kinds of things. So what he's saying here is that there exists two types of love. Aphrodite is dual in her nature. And he says that there is the Aphrodite Urania, the heavenly love, and there is the Aphrodite Pandemos, the common love. And my Greek pronunciation might be wrong here, but you probably don't notice if I didn't tell you, so that's fine. But the important thing to understand is that there is a love that is oriented heavenlywards, and there is one that is oriented towards the common, to the vulgar, to the material. And it goes on to clarify this distinction by saying that the commonly love, it is directed towards the body only, whereas the heavenly love is directed towards the soul, which reflects the same distinction that is made in traditional Tantra between sex and eros, where it is considered that this procreative potential, this desire, this energy that manifests as love and around lovemaking, eroticism and everything, it has two directions. It is one that actually uplifts our souls, that when we look at our lovers with those rosy eyes of love, that we can recognize in them their godly qualities. We can recognize the purity of their beauty, of their innocence, of their gentleness, of things that really elevates and touch our hearts and makes us feel alive. And then that same energy, or at least the same potential, can manifest in a way that just makes us blind with lust, that we're only interested in the physical body. And it's an animalistic and it's an unconscious desire that, of course, has nothing to do with real uplifting and heavenly love. They're two fundamentally distinct directions that so-called love can go in, which of course makes it almost ridiculous to call both of them love, which is why they make a clear distinction in some systems, calling the common direction for sex and the heavenly direction for love. Because love is what unites us with the godly. It's what makes us recognize the eternal and the true in the other ones. And that helps us to integrate all our actions and everything we are in this cosmic harmony. Because love is what facilitates for this connection. It's what connects us with everything else. Whereas the other direction, the common Aphrodite, is marked by unconsciousness, and that it is separating us from the whole. It makes us forget what actually matters, which is why so many men especially has been completely blinded by lust and corrupted and deviated from what truly matters for them. And there's no wonder then either that we see in Christianity and other spiritual systems as well, that there is a lot of stigma around the erotic and sexual energy. Because if it is directed in the wrong direction, then it does deviate us from God, from the eternal, or from our hearts. That is very true. What is rarely really emphasized on is that there is this dual direction. You can take the same energy that would deviate you, that would make you blind, and that would make you forget what matters, but you can direct it towards the heavenly and make that a ladder, make that like a rocket fuel that actually connects you with God and with the eternal and what matters. Which is there what Phaedrus said in the last chapter there, right? That Eros is the chief bestower of virtue. And now here what Pausanias comes in to say is that like, yeah, very, very good, but you need to be careful, because Eros does bestow virtue, but the cousin or the shadow of Eros, which is raw sexuality, it takes virtue away. So you need to be very careful with which one is it that you're directing your attention to, which one is it that you're praising. Another way to see this is from the perspective of quantum mechanics and also from the Platonic forms, which are uniting very well together, is that the source of happiness and of fulfillment and of really elevating pleasure and refined passion, they are Platonic forms, they are archetypes. They are energetic structures that are transcendent in nature, they're eternal. And what happens when we're, for example, looking at our lover and we're feeling very happy, is that she becomes a channel or like a symbol, almost like a painting, through which we can experience this transcendent love. It's a channel through which love and happiness and fulfillment and everything manifest into our lives. And this is what we can call that the archetypes, the forms, corresponds to a quantum reality, and that the symbol, the matter, the actual person there, is the collapsed wave function. If you don't know much about quantum mechanics, we'll dive into that in another episode. But I still hope that the image can be clear. That there is this eternal archetypal reality where we have the heavenly love and beauty and everything, and then we have a world of just representations, where we have then the physical body and all the actions and everything that are not the love itself. It's just a representation of that love through which we can then contemplate and access this more eternal and archetypal experience. And this is the correlation there with the Platonic forms and the actual manifest reality. And we can see, for example, that a painting like this one we have here, this painting is not love itself, it's not Eros, but it is a representation of a particular state of love in Eros that we can contemplate and experience through this representation. Now, what happens with the commonly love is that we are confusing the painting as being the source of love. We're confusing the physical body, we're confusing our lover as being the source of those beautiful experiences, while in actuality they are just a representation. If we take the lover away, there is still love. But if we take love away, like the lover can never give us that love. But the commonly love is making this mistake. It confuses the actual physical representation with being the source. And there is why attachments come up, because we feel like, oh no, if I don't have my lover here, if she leaves me for someone else, then I will be forever, depleted, bereaved of this source of love, because we think she is the source of our wonderful experiences. While the heavenly love, it recognizes that, no, this is just a representation. But here, the Platonic forms, the archetypes, the godly attributes, this is the actual source of love. So it helps us to relate to the actual source of our heavenly experiences through the help of the representations. But it doesn't make us attached to the representations themselves. And we have this as a beautiful, again, representation in the tantric tradition, which says that the tantric lovers who are using the coupled relationship as a way to together deepen their communion with the heavenly love, that they're together pursuing the heavenly love, which is also present in some ways in the notion of Platonic love, though there are other meanings that have been associated with that as well. But in any case, the tantric lovers, they say that they are not looking at each other, but they are looking in the same direction. Meaning that they are not attaching themselves to each other. They do not see the other person as the source of love, but together they are looking towards the true source of love, which is transcendent, which in a Platonic perspective would be the Platonic form associated with love, or love itself, or beauty itself. Or from a quantum perspective, you could say that it is the quantum reality, is the quantum field of love itself, which is like an energy. It's a particular vibration in this whole vibratory field that is the universe, that is love. And they are looking towards this vibration itself in order to assimilate that and let that flow out into their togetherness. So as you can see, this is a big difference, right? And Pausanias is very right. You cannot praise love indiscriminately, but you need to understand there are different directions here, and one will take your virtue away, and one will bestow it to you with a force and enthusiasm that is unparalleled to anything else you can ever experience. So, what we arrived at here, and now we will wrap up this first part of the speech of Pausanias, is to see this dual manifestation of what we can call love or attraction or desire, and how important it is to actually pursue the true eros that is uplifting the soul and that connects us with the quantum reality, with the transcendent, the archetypal, the ideal reality of love, whereas the sexual direction is what makes us stupid and blind and just locks us into the material. And this distinction is something that we will look deeper into in the next episode, which is very interesting, how Plato is describing these different directions and how you can use your attention in order to basically expand your consciousness to exist at another level that is categorically different, that is qualitatively different, and which relates to the sphere of the gods, and where we truly can see and participate in life as it is, instead of dwelling in a land of illusion that inevitably leads to suffering. So stay tuned for that, and see you in there.